Hi everyone! So welcome, and yes, this is your teaching arts in the curriculum. So in the elementary. So ito po ang ating discussion a while ago. So ayun, nagbibigay ako ng voice messages. However, this time you would be seeing me here in this video kasi gusto ko na makita nyo pa rin kung ano yung dinidiscuss ko. So pagpasensyahan nyo na at sana makakonect po tayo sa YouTube mamaya at mai-upload ko po ito. So, let's start! So again, this would be the curriculum from kinder up to grade 12, and this is in the CG of the arts curriculum. But our focus would be from grade 1 up to grade 6 because we are dealing with elementary education. So if you will just take a look at this, we have introduction to the fundamental processes, then enhance the understanding of those fundamental processes. Then we also have the preliminary acquisition of basic knowledge, then formal introduction to elements or processes. Then we are exploring those processes and elements that we have mentioned in the other grade levels. Then application. So this is actually both music and arts, but of course our focus would just be on arts. Next, these are the answers to the activity which I had given you. So all throughout the weekend, I believe that you had analyzed the curriculum guide, and so these are the drawing, painting, printmaking, and then sculpture 2D, 3D, and animation. So animation and photography are actually high levels already, and these can be seen in the guides for the grade 6. But all in all, still, drawing is being given for the first quarter or the first grading period, and then painting for the second grading period. Then for the third grading period would be printmaking, and then for photography, if we are always limited with our resources, you can still teach the elements of photography but using your cell phones. And then for sculpture, 3D, and animation, we will also try to make use of all mobile applications that we can use as a strategy for teaching the animation and also the photography. Next, let's give focus on the drawing. So this is for the first quarter, again from grades 1 up to grade 6. So the elements that we need to take a look at or to teach would be the lines, shape, color, texture, space, and then for grade 6, the use of technology. The principles behind these elements would be balance, proportion, variety of lines, contrasts, depth. I'm not sure if you can really imagine the depth of a certain color. So this is already a certain drawing. So this is already making it 2D, 2-dimension. And then the repetition, the rhythm balance, and also the contrast or emphasis. Then take a look at the processes or the outputs that are expected of the students whom we are handling. So for grade 1, of course, the kids would be drawing portraits. It can be their own portrait, how they look at themselves, then their family. So you can see the standard that we have done. You have the mother, the father, and then the kids or the family members. And then we have persons, schools, animals, or even furnitures and fixture. For grade 2, we have a drawing of 2 or more people and also bodies which are in motion. So for example, the kids would be drawing students attending a flag ceremony or a child helping her mother or a kid talking to his father. Okay. And then for the third grade, we will now start the sketching of the active people. So from the grades 1 and 2, it is definitely more on the lines and the shapes only, and also the color. But when it comes to grade 3, you have to put depth. Okay, you have to emphasize the principle of depth. in their drawing. So sketching now becomes more active than just plainly drawing. Then for number 4, grade 4, of course, we have the figures of communities and also the cultural groups. Grade 5 would be archaeological artifacts, buildings, houses, and churches. When I was young, I think what I was doing was more on churches. And then for grade 6, this is the time that they can draw a logo. Maybe they can think of a particular business. If their mom would be selling banana cake, what would be the logo that they can put, and how can they make use of digital manipulation or technology in order to create such logo? What are these apps or mobile apps? And for sure, I'm telling you that these grade 6 are more knowledgeable than us. Then when it comes to painting, okay, so this time, since you are also going to teach painting, you need to also teach the students what are the different mediums that we can do when it comes to painting. So are we going to use watercolor, or are we going to use oil-based paints, or can the students make use of special, let's say, food coloring when it comes to painting? Is that applicable, or can we make use of the extracts from gumamela or from leaves in order to create natural paints? So it also depends on you as your teachers. So let's see, the elements would still be color, shape, texture, line, and space. But for principles, we have the harmony, rhythm, balance, contrast, proportion, emphasis. Then let's take a look at the outputs. So for grade 1, it would be a painting from natural forms of medium. So as I have mentioned a while ago, maybe you can create a painting which is from the, let's say, orange. So you slice the orange and then you make use of that slice and then paint it on a piece of paper or on a cardboard paper, and then we will emphasize the repetition of it. So by doing different paints, then they can come up with a painting of an orange prints. And then they can also make use of, let's say, the colors from the leaves. You have to teach them how to do it, how to extract that particular color. Then the second would be painting the sea or forest animals. And it's actually hard when it comes to being the teacher. And then the students would be saying, "Mom, I want to repeat again my artwork," because they cannot perfect the sea or the forest animal. So you have to be very careful with this, because instead of demotivating a child, you should be able to motivate that child. And then for grade 3, painting fruits, plants, or wild animals. Be careful with wild animals. Do not tell your students to look for a wild animal. But what you have to do is to just provide them different pictures of wild animals which they can imitate or copy. Well, we can say that imitation is a great form of art. And then painting landscapes, murals, or indigenous houses. They can actually go, well, I cannot tell you that students should go outside their houses because of the pandemic right now. But then, instead of painting their own houses, maybe they can paint their neighbors' houses, or maybe they can paint what they can see outside their window. And then, for the 5th, painting landscapes in the community, natural or man-made. If this is also going to be a hindrance, because still kids are not yet allowed to go outside their houses, then maybe we can still provide our pictures or photos that they can actually imitate. Or maybe if we make use of our imagination, your students can actually create a landscape where they want to live. And then digital painting or graphic design. This is the one which is going to be a big challenge for you because you need to know how to do the digital painting. Next is printmaking or photography. So we still have the basic elements, the basic principles, and then we have here the printmaking from nature. It's actually nice when you try to combine painting and printmaking into one. Okay, so that would be applicable. We call that as integration. So printmaking from nature, let me just try to show you this one. Okay. So that is actually, this is actually a tissue roll which I made into a holder of my pencils, and I also have coins here. Okay, so why am I showing this to you even if this is actually not a printmaking? Because there are actually many things that you can do when it comes to printmaking. I just want to show you how it is being shown here. So these are different cactus here. But imagine what if what you are using is a real leaf, ferns, leaves, flowers, petals, and you try to put it here. Okay, so it's like you are also already doing the process of printmaking. So by combining the skills in painting plus printmaking, then you would be able to leave those marks here. Oh, sorry, I'm just being crafty here, and but yes, this is on my table. Okay, and then you can make use of printmaking using stencils. There are some baristas who are using stencils so that they can actually imprint Snoopy, Spider-Man, Mickey Mouse over a bubble of the coffee or the cream bubble of the coffee. So if we try to teach our students how to do stencils, then maybe they can also do that. If you have that particular ruler before wherein you are using your pencil so that you can draw the letter A and then the letter B, if you had that kind of ruler, then that is also considered already as a stencil. And then we also have the relief print and then glue print plus cardboard print. This is something that we really need to understand first before teaching our students. The same with linoleum print, rubber print, wood print, because it will take skills and skills transfer before the students can actually perform this. This is funny because there is a mythological creature being included here. So mythological creatures, before or prior your discussion, then maybe you need to talk about mythological creatures first. And you have to be very careful because at this point, grade 5, so they might be in what age? Grade 10 years old or 11 years old. They might be scaring off one another. Okay, because these are mythological creatures. Okay. Creatures from the underground. Okay, so how can they put the concept of a mythological creature and then have it printed on wood, right? So before you conduct this lesson, you need to know all of these things first. But then, of course, still do not make it a habit that the students will be perfect in their arts. Remember, it is always art appreciation, okay? Not art demotivation. Next, for the grade 6, of course, we have to insert here basic photography. Now that we are in the pandemic, how can you teach photography to kids? So, you can teach the basics of photography by telling them what is a close-up, okay, or what is contrast in colors. So this is white, Then you have the black, red. Well, by the way, this is a sharpener. Okay. So there's a contrast here. So how can you show them contrast when it comes to photography? Another is this one. These are glitters. How can a simple box show off too much glamour through photography? Okay, so what if you do try marketing strategies when it comes to this? Or in the foreground and then the background, the foreground is clear, the background is blurred, or the foreground is blurred and then the background is clear. Okay, so this is also interesting. And then we also have the sculpting, 2D or 3D, and animation. I've mentioned that 2D is very vital because you start from a flat structure or the drawing before you convert it into a 3D. And from the 3D, you put it on the computer or on your mobile, then turn it into an animation. So sculpting, okay, for grade 1 3D works and sculpture, what is very good with this is that you make their imagination come alive. So if they will create monsters or jellies from a clay, let them be. If they can create houses from the clay, then let them be. But what is more important is that you let their imagination flow and that they understood how 3D and sculpture is going on even with their bare hands. Then for grade 2, it is the same. Sculpture and 3D crafts. I think they're also going to create a card here, card making. So what if your card has a pop-up? Okay, and that would be very good when it comes to timing that activity when it comes to Christmas season. And then we also have here puppetry and masks. I remember when I was young, we also did some masks, but I think in grade 6 already when we created the mask. And it is not in my art subject, but it is in my HELE, or the Home Economics and Livelihood Education. I don't know why we did that for HELE, not for arts. Okay, but of course, masks, it's not just the mask for COVID, not just this one, but a mask wherein they can actually make use of creatively. So let's say Spider-Man, or they want a witch or Halloween mask, so they can do that. And then puppetry can also be done through socks or rubber socks, and puppetry using fingers. Okay, so there can also be some form of puppetry through stuffed toys. Okay. And then for grade 4, we also have the textile craft. What is nice with textile craft is that if you try to promote our textile industry, just like in this one. Okay, so why did I mention 2D? Because they can start off the design using a drawing first and then put it into application or the 3D, something which is more tangible. Okay, and then they can also do paper mache or paper beads, okay, for the grade 5. Then for grade 6, okay, so this is the time again that we have to make use of our technology through new media, art, or animation. And that's it. That is the summary of the curriculum guide for arts in the elementary from grades 1 up to grade 6. If you have any question, you may message me in our group chat or you can email me at abigailgomez@cvsu.edu.ph. I am Abigail Gomez, your facilitator of learning for the teaching of arts in the elementary grades. Bye!